I'll just give a brief introduction. Aisha already did most of it, but my name is Kay Chima, and I'm a real estate professional, and I specialize in, helping clients simplify the whole real estate journey and the whole home buying and selling process as much as possible. I try to take out all the complexities of it to actually just streamline the whole process to make it a bit easier for people to understand. Um, I do come from a background of IT consulting and also business ownership as well. I do own and manage a couple of physical and online businesses, as well as a whole lot of technical consulting as well. And most of my clients involve first-time home buyers, new immigrants, and also seasoned investors as well. Um, my service areas are primarily in the Waterloo region and surrounding areas, Kitchener, Cambridge, and it extends all the way to Hamilton, Toronto, and London, and pretty much anywhere in Ontario that's in the southwest part of Ontario anyway. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. And my whole mission is to help my clients, achieve their real estate goals and, make well-informed decisions and actually honestly buy things that won't be a problem to them in the future and make the right decisions when they actually invest in real estate. All right. So I'll just give a brief rundown of how we're gonna go about today's presentation. The goal of this evening seminar is to just give a highlight of everything you might need to know at different stage of where you are in your real estate journey, whether you're currently renting or you're working on improving your credit, saving down for a down payment for a home, or not even sure how much money you need, or don't even know how to get started in whatever goals or stage you are with your real estate journey. The whole idea is to break it down as much as possible and provide you the information you need to actually prepare you and get you started with making the right decision and the right choices going forward. So we're going to chat about a lot of things in our presentation today. And I just want to let everyone know, like, if you have any questions at any point, feel free to use the raise hand feature in the meeting room or, drop your, questions and messages in the chat box. I sure myself would be looking at it from time to time to actually take up any questions and answer any questions or concerns you might have about anything that we're discussing today or even outside what we're discussing. And just with a raise of hands, I just want to get a sense of, everyone in the room today. How many of you are currently renting a home or currently renting your current accommodation right now? All right, I can see some hands. How many of you actually understand what it takes to all the steps that are involved in actually buying a home in Canada right now? And if you had all the informations you actually, needed, like what kind of timelines would you say you have for yourself in terms of like your next real estate goal in Canada? Mm. Are there any responses in the chat, Aisha?
Yes, 24 months from OSAS.
Mhm.
IOS is 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, those are very, very, very realistic timelines. The whole idea, um, being a renter is you want to position yourself right from day one to actually be in the, be in the perfect position to actually make the move when the right time comes. A lot of people wake up and decide that they want to buy a house, 6 months from now. They've never actually looked at their credit score. They've never actually, proactively set up an account, like a first time home buyer's account to actually start, making contributions and savings towards the down payment. So, still having a 1 year, 12 month, 24 months timeline for yourself is perfect. The truth about homeownership is you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared mentally. You have to be prepared financially. These are not decisions you wake up one day and just decide to make for yourself. So all the timelines that I'm seeing are really realistic and achievable. And, I believe you all are actually on the right track. Another question I have for the house is, what are some of the home buying myths you may have heard about owning real estate in Canada? Feel free to unmute yourself and, let's talk about it.
I'll go first. So for me, it's that you need to have a lot of money and be extra credit worthy to be able to do real estate.
Yeah. I mean, money is always key in making this kind of purchases, so that's a very valid one. Anyone else? I mean, feel free to drop a message in the chat as well. What are some of the myths you've heard about, buying real estate in Canada? All right, I dropped a comment in the chat. You said, I know it's expensive buying, but even more expensive keeping it. That's very, very true. I think a lot of people underestimate all the ongoing expenses and other expenses that are tied to homeownership aside your down payment. And, we'll look at some of those, in our presentation this evening. Hidden expenses after purchasing and closing. Yeah. Very valid one. Just like I said earlier, it's a lot of expenses a lot of people don't budget for, plan for, and, sets them up doesn't set them up for success, like as soon as they buy their home and, a few months into home ownership, they actually realize this, and it's a mess for a lot of people. Being a PR holder. Yep. I would say a lot of people feel like if you're not a citizen in Canada, you can't actually purchase a home, and it's not exactly the case. I bought my first home as a PR holder in Canada, so I'll just put that out there. And I've helped a couple of people through transactions where, like they were PR holders and actually purchased homes in Canada. So I would debunk that for you right now, Wally. All right.
Irene has something to say.
Oh, okay. Irene. I think you're talking to mute if you are.
Oh, sorry, sir. You said something about that already, so it just answered my question. The fact that as a PR holder, it's very difficult or near to impossible to thinking about getting a house. Maybe you should be thinking about it when you are a citizen or something. So not to talk of when you are just coming into Canada less than a year or two, you should not even be thinking about it. It's something that you should be thinking about when you're already like 5 years in Canada. So those are the things that
The truth about it is, I want to take this presentation from a very, very honest personal point of view, right? And I want to break it down as much as I can to everyone on this call today. First things first, I would always tell people when you're talking about certain things like real estate, you don't just want to be speaking to anybody. You want to get a more professional, advice and guidance, to the kind of information you actually get about certain things. I've helped people with transactions with just being 2 years in Canada or even less on a PR. I myself, I was only 3 years or 4 in Canada when I actually bought, my first house as well, right? So always be very careful, like where you're getting the information you're getting, about certain things. And it doesn't even just have to be real estate in general. I won't go getting financial advice from a medical doctor, asking them what they think about, my RRSP or my TFAC or retirement funds, right? It just doesn't make any sense. I won't be asking, the self-acclaimed, professional that's my neighbor, who seems to know everything about, what they feel about me doing, my medical conditions. If I had any, if I would go to a hospital and actually speak to a professional. So when it comes to actually getting information, I would always advise everyone, like, speak to a professional. They're the only ones that do this day in, day out and actually understand the true scenario of things, and we're able to provide you the right and accurate advice. But as a PR holder, you can definitely buy a house, even if you're just 1 year or 6 months in Canada, as long as you have a down payment and you meet all the other criteria and, conditions, of course. Yeah. So one of the first buy myths, it's, like I think someone already mentioned it, is I can't afford to buy a home right now. And the honest truth is, when I hear I can't afford to buy a home right now, it still boils down to the last thing I say, like, who told you this? Have you actually talked to a realtor? Have you talked to a mortgage specialist? Have you spoken to the bank? Have you spoken to any lender at all? A lot of people are of the mindset that buying a home in Canada is next to impossible. It's something that will take heaven and earth to actually become a reality. But the true, honest fact of it is, there's no way of you knowing if you don't actually speak to a professional, if you don't speak to a lender, if you've not had your situation actually assessed and, gotten professional advice to let you know whether it's possible or not. And most times it's not even about if, it's a matter of when. A lot of times, a lot of people get into, a lot of people are renting and they're actually planning to buy a house maybe in the coming year or, coming in the nearest future. And a lot of times people look at it from the point of it's very expensive. I actually can't do it. But honestly, when you actually check it and speak to to a lender or an advisor, they are able to like guide you and tell you certain things you can actually start doing today that will make you prepared and ready to actually buy a home in the nearest future, right? It might be, saving some more or making certain changes to some of your current situation. Maybe it could be your credit score. It could be some debt that you have that you need to pay down. It might be your current rental situation as well. Whatever the case may be, speaking with a professional is definitely the first and most advisable steps that you would take to actually know, not even if I can afford a home. I believe everyone can afford a home. It's just when you can afford the home, right? And I know a lot of people are, indicated that they're renting right now. And when it comes to actually renting, the first thing I'll tell everybody, advise everyone that's renting with the goal to eventually become a homeowner or actually purchase a home for themselves in the nearest future, is always keep your rent as low as possible. It's very, very tricky because nowadays, especially in the market we find ourselves, real estate is very expensive. Rental is even more expensive. And also like all the other bills that are attached to it as well. So as much as possible, if you find yourself currently renting right now, you want to keep your expenses to the barest minimum, because at the end of the day, if you're paying certain amount of money towards your rent every month, it's you helping someone pay down, a mortgage, right? And as much as it's everybody's or a lot of people's situation right now, you don't want it to be your situation forever. And there's always a chart I like to use to explain this to, people, when we look at, compare ownership and actually renting, and we're just looking at the mortgage piece of things right now. If you purchase a home today for 500,000 and you're making a payment of 2,500 towards your mortgage, over 12 months, which is a year, you would have made $30,000, towards repaying down that mortgage. I mean, a part of it is obviously going to go towards your principal and some towards, the actual mortgage. But I mean, you're still paying down the debt, which tomorrow gonna put more, it's helping you build equity and it's gonna put more money in your pocket. On the other side, if you're actually renting and your rent is 2,500 a month, that's you spending 30,000 in a year that's actually never gonna come back to your pocket, right? So renting might be your reality at this point in time, but I always advise people to start making proactive plans to look towards home ownership. You know, it might take you a year, it might take you 2 years, it might even take you 5 years, right? There's really no timeline to these things until you're actually ready and you decide, you know, like put your finances in place and every other conditions in place and, you know, become of the mindset like, hey, I'm actually ready to get into home ownership because actually owning a home is one of the best ways you can actually build wealth in this part of the world. Is the fastest way a lot of people build wealth in this part of the world. And I'll give you a quick example. If today I buy a house for $350,000 and, you know, 5 years down the line, I've been able to put towards that house a payment of 150,000, you know, or maybe 100,000 in terms of paying down the mortgage I took out on that house. In 5 years, if I decide to sell that house, I've already given back 100 out of the 250, out of the 350. So I'm pretty much owing my lender only 250,000, right? And let's assume that the property has appreciated up to 100, maybe 400 or $450,000 in the span of 5 years, which is very realistic in Canada, right? Now, at the end of the day, just doing a rough math, right? You're only owing the lender you only owing the land at $200,000 at that point in time. So if you sell the house for 400 or 450 and you pay back the $200,000 you're still owing, you're walking away with at least $250,000, you know, equity that you've built over those years, and also like the appreciation value that you may have amassed in just 5 years, right? I mean, I don't know how much savings or what other businesses that you might be doing that would yield you that amount of return in profit in just 5 or even 10 years, right? And this is how people build their portfolio. This is how people build equity in their portfolio and actually amass a lot of wealth. And, you know, 10 years down the line, you know, you're looking at people, you know, living large and, you know, actually happy and satisfied with life. And, you know, you're wondering, oh, how did you guys do all this? But, you know, they made a step, they made a move. They actually did what they had to do at, you know, when they had the opportunity to do it, right? So it's all about the mindset and, you know, like preparing yourself and putting yourself in that mindset and actually seeing how you can move from your current situation and actually get into home ownership and actually start building wealth and, you know, growing your investment portfolio and, you know, just being more comfortable with your finances and everything in Canada. I don't know if anyone has any questions so far. All right, so I'll move on to the next meet here, and it says I should wait for the market to get ready. You know, most of the time you get a lot of people saying, you know, I want to wait till the market gets ready. Oh, interest rates are so high right now. You know, like I don't think I want to get in. I don't think I want to, you know, like start investing in real estate right now, right? And the problem is, you know, nobody really knows the market. You know, nobody knows when the market is going to shift. Nobody knows when the market is going to get better, get hotter, you know, like warm up as everybody is hoping it would at some point, right? And the more you wait for these things, the more prices keep going up every year. And the more prices keep going up every year, you know, the more down payment is needed. You know, I remember my last year in school, my last year in school in Canada here, and I always tell my friend like, oh man, looking at the house prices right now, I honestly just need to save like 12,000 or 15,000. And honestly, I can put down a down payment and buy my first home, right? And fast forward to 2 years down the line, you know, the conversation changed to, oh, I need to get 25,000 to put down as a down payment. And right now, I'm sure if I had to look at the maths again, you know, if I had to look put the down payment down, I probably be looking at nothing less than 30 to 40,000 for similar houses that I was looking at, like some years ago, right? So the more you actually, nobody knows the market, the best thing you can do is talk to a professional to guide you, talk to a professional to give you a sense of the market and, like what to expect and what's going on. And there's always a saying that, the best time to buy real estate was yesterday and the next best time to buy is today, because the prices are always going to go up. Interest rates are always going to fluctuate. They're always going to go up and come down. A lot of people were waiting for the interest rates to drop in recent months, and it's been actually dropping gradually. But the true reality of things is the more the interest rates drop in the coming months, a lot more people are going to be able to afford the same thing, and there's only going to be a bidding war, which is only going to result into home prices and house prices going up. So the house you're waiting for at 500,000 at a 4.5 interest rate, if the interest rate drop to 3.5 tomorrow, it's not going to be 500 again. It's probably going to be 550 or 540, right? So which equates to like you spending more money in terms of purchasing the house, and also the down payment that is required for you to buy the house as well. So at every point in time, I would always suggest to people, like, speak to a lender, speak to a real estate professional, get a sense of how to navigate the current situation, and let them share with you some insights of the market to actually make you help you make more informed decisions. And I got a question recently, and it was a client asking, "Oh, why should we buy now? Why do I even want to buy real estate in Canada to begin with?" And we already touched on the first point, interest rates. So interest rates, I mean, they're not remarkably low. This is an older slide, but I mean, right now they're actually dropping gradually from what they used to be, right? The Bank of Canada has recently been dropping their basis point for interest in Canada, and like it's helping people be able to afford more right now, and actually afford properties that they would not necessarily have qualified for some months ago or about a year ago as well. Also, you also want to look at the long-term investment, right? Why do I want to buy a house now? Buying a house now is only going to help you start building equity. You build equity in a property when you start paying down your mortgage every month or every year, right? So if you buy $500,000 property and you're paying your mortgage every single month, every month, part of that payment that you're making is going towards paying down your mortgage. And, in that sense, you're actually building equity for yourself. And in the long run, this equity can actually be utilized to actually make more investments and buy more properties, or actually do whatever, you might want to do with, that amount of equity that you might have amassed, right? And also value appreciation, like I said, the more you wait, the more house prices keep going up. The price yesterday is not the price tomorrow. The price today won't be the price next year. It's always going to go up. And also, like, just pride of home ownership, right? Having that stability and security, knowing that, my money is well invested. It's investing in real estate is definitely more secure than investing in the stock market. And I'll say that every day to anybody, because it's easier for you to drive around and see your house somewhere and be like, yeah, that's my money up there. I can see my money. It's not sitting in a bank where I don't know what's going on every single day, right? And just knowing that your money is invested in something that has the potential to always grow, appreciate, and yield you more returns in the nearest future is amazing, right? The sense of community, owning a home and belonging to a community, and like start building that community with people and individuals around, especially as an immigrant. At some point we all need that at some point, right? You all want to have a sense of community and belonging to a certain area, whether it be in a street or a city or a town. You want to have some sense of commitment and some ties that attach you to the place, right? the freedom of to customize, as a renter, I'm sure a lot of you agree, like there's so much restrictions and limitations in terms of whatever you might want to do in your house, if you own your own property, the sky is your limit in terms of how crazy you want to go, in terms of customizing it. If you want to wake up tomorrow and paint your whole kitchen purple and tear all the whole wooden cabinet down and install stainless steel or glass, like you can knock yourself out and do as much as you want to do. There are also like tax benefits that are, associated with home ownership. As a homeowner, there's certain things that, you can write off. There's certain things you can write off as a home ownership, and also like as a homeowner, and also wealth building, owning a property only means like you're only going to start, keep building wealth. From there, you can build so much equity and, like use that equity to expand your portfolio, or actually do a whole lot of things that start up a business, buy an investment property, expand your portfolio, upsize, and do whatever you want to do. There any questions so far? So another one that's pretty common is people saying I can't afford to buy a home because my credit isn't very good. The honest truth is, a lot of us come into this country not understanding how credits work. I believe most of us on the call are Nigerians, if not all of us. Back home, I don't know as of today, but when I left Nigeria, there was nothing like credit score or, credit history, or there was nothing of that sort that existed, right? So coming into a system that was kind of built on credit, it's pretty common for a lot of people to mess it up as soon as they get here. At least you start getting a hang of it, and then, something might have gone bad with your score already that, you're left to trying to figure out ways to actually fix it, right? But I mean, it's not the end of the world. The honest truth is that there's actually no set credit score in terms of being approved from a lender to actually buy a home. Every lender has their requirements. Every lender has what they're looking out for. Every lender's requirements are different. So the only best way to know is to talk to a mortgage broker, talk to a lender, like try to understand or get a sense of what is actually required, what is actually required from me. Like this is my, submit your profile, submit your documentation, submit your credit scores, and ask questions like, oh, what can I afford? What do I need to work on? How can I improve to actually qualify for what I need right now? And your lender or your mortgage broker will always provide steps on you to actually fix your credit score in order for you to achieve your goal in the future. Next, we'll look at how to prepare, for home ownership in Canada. We already touched a bit on actually assessing your financial readiness, right? And one of it is actually checking your credit score and ensuring it meets, your lender's requirements. And the only way you can actually do this is by chatting with your mortgage broker or chatting with a lender. I always prefer working with mortgage brokers because they have a pool and network of different lenders that can actually provide you a whole range of options for you to select from. So from the pool, they throw your application into, they're able to pick out the best possible, package for you and present that to you, aside just working with a lender who probably just provide you only one package or one product or service, right? Secondly, you want to save for a down payment. Typically in Canada, you'll be looking at saving at 5 to 20% of whatever property price that you're looking to buy. As a first-time home buyer, you're allowed to put down 5% up onto the first 500,000, and then 10% up to, it used to be $1 million up until today, I believe, up until yesterday, and from today, that cap is going up to 1.5 million. So if you're looking to buy a house of 500,000, you're probably looking at putting down 5% of that is probably around $25,000. So that's kind of like what you'd be estimating as a down payment on a $500 property. So, some people might ask, what are some, I don't have enough money. How can I save for a down payment? Some of the ways that are known that people actually save for down payments is keeping your rent low. A lot of people are still living where they're living, not because they like where they're living, but it's actually a means for them to actually save for their goals, right? Taking up a second job, doing side hustles on the side. If you're creative, you can, you're into hair designing, you're into, any side hustle or part-time job you can actually get onto on the weekends or in the evenings. Those can be, nice strategies and actually save for your down payment. I'm going very honest. It's kind of tougher these days because of the cost of living in Canada, but I mean, a lot of people are doing it. There are ways to actually, take something else on to actually help you make a little cash extra here and there, and like put that towards your down payment. You also want to budget for your closing costs. So your closing costs are the costs that are associated with actually closing on your property. This could include lawyer fees, land transfer taxes, home inspection, and a whole lot of other things that might actually pop up. These costs are things people usually overlook most times when they're actually looking to buy a property, but these are costs that you definitely do need to actually close on your property. And next, you actually want to get pre-approved, right? What are the benefits of getting pre-approved? You want to get a sense of how much you can actually afford. There's really no point wasting your time looking at houses in the $1 million range when all you can actually afford is 500,000. So getting a pre-approval from a lender would give you, a more detailed idea of how much you can actually qualify for, and it will also help you streamline your search and save you so much time, save you and your realtor and whoever you decide to work with so much time when you start looking for, homes to buy. So, so when you start looking for houses to buy, you want to identify your priorities. What are your wants and what are your needs? Most times you see a lot of people, start up with, oh, I want a house that has, 5 bedrooms and, a nice pool and, a 3-acre garden that I can play soccer on and, like stainless steel appliances. And, I mean, we all have wishful thinking, right? When we think about, our dream house and ideal house. But the honest truth is, most of the time we're not actually going to get what we really want, right? But in terms of our needs, we want to be very specific and, pay more attention to what we need in a home. So what are those things that are, what are those things that are actually important? If you have 3 kids right now, it really doesn't make any sense looking for a house that has just 1 bedroom. Now, for a fact that you need at least 3 bedrooms in a house. These are your needs rather than wants, where it's like, hey, I want all the appliances in the house to be stainless steel, or, I would like the garden to be, 3 acres or 5 acres so that we can, have 100 people in there in the summer and have fun and, party and everything. I mean, those things will come, but, identifying what's important would actually help you streamline your search when you actually start looking for properties. You also want to decide on what kind of homes you want to buy. So are you looking at single family detached homes? Are you looking at townhouses? Are you looking at condominiums or apartment style buildings, right? All these different kind of houses have their advantages and disadvantages. Detached houses are nice, they're big, they're amazing. They probably hold more value than a whole lot of other kind of houses or building types. But at the same time, there's so much cost associated with actually maintaining them. And, in terms of property taxes and everything, like you'd be expecting to actually pay way more than somebody who lives in an apartment building or in a townhouse, right? You also want to research your neighborhoods and amenities. You know, what's important to you that needs to be around. You know, do I still have to take the bus? Do I need to be in close proximity with the highway? You know, how far is the house or the neighborhood from, you know, where my kids go to school or where I actually go to work. So, you know, these are priorities you need to identify, and you know, that's where a real estate agent actually comes into play. And based off their knowledge of the market and the understanding of various neighborhoods where you're looking to actually buy properties, they're actually able to advise you and provide you with some guides to actually, you know, like make the right decision and actually, you know, looking for a home and actually identifying what's important to you when you're actually looking to purchase any property. So next we'll look at understanding mortgage pre-approval. Does anybody actually know what a mortgage pre-approval is? All right, Assess says yes, we do. Aisha said no. Anyone else? All right, Mary said no. So a mortgage pre-approval is simply like a formal statement of the specific, you know, mortgage amount in which you are approved for, you know, based on review of your situation and your financial information, right? So the importance behind getting a mortgage pre-approval is you want to get a sense of what you can actually afford, you know, like what can I afford, then you submit your documents to, a lender, and, they review it, they run a credit check, and, based off that, they actually provide you a detailed explanation of, what you can actually afford, and why is this important? It's usually important to get this because it helps streamline your search, like I said earlier. And secondly, it also positions you as a better option, as a better buyer option to sellers when offers start coming in. So if I was a seller and I'm actually looking to buy a house, I honestly would not accept an offer from somebody who hasn't, who doesn't submit a, mortgage pre-approval, right? Submitting a mortgage pre-approval just simply means like, okay, this guy doesn't have the cash, but he has a bank or a lender right now that has promised him to get the money. So I can easily accept it, knowing that tomorrow when we put signature on the paper, that money is going to come through. It's not going to be a situation of, hey, I actually can't, get the money from anywhere to make this purchase. So, like I'm pulling out from the deal. I mean, nobody really wants that at the end of the day. A lot of times, some people also ask like, what's pre-qualification and how does that compare to, pre-approval? So when I look at a pre-qualification, the honest truth, the pre-qualification is actually just an informal estimation of what size of mortgage you could qualify for. So it kind of has some similarity to the pre-approval. The only thing is that it's not an official statement from a lender saying we're going to give you this money. It's just done over the phone or, by email or online where, you put in certain information, not verified, and then it gives you a range of what to expect and what you can afford, right? But after a pre-qualification, you definitely want to get a pre-approval before you start looking for a property. And the honest truth is there are a lot of, real estate agents and, like offices out there that wouldn't even want to have any conversation with you till they're actually saying that you've actually gotten a pre-approval from a lender before you begin your search. Also, when you're looking to purchase, you also want to talk to your lenders and your mortgage broker, your realtor, about setting programs and incentives that, that may actually benefit you as a home buyer. One of it is the home buyer plan, which permits, one-time withdrawal of $35,000 from your RSP, as long as you've been making contributions to your RSP, of course, towards your down payment. And, this cash can actually be used towards, making a down payment on a home and can be paid instrumentally, at a future date. And another good one is the first time home savings account, which allows you to save up to $8,000, tax-free every year towards actually purchasing a home with a lifetime limit of $40,000. So these are some of the programs, you can actually talk to your lenders about, and it gives you a sense of, like where you can take advantage of here and there just to actually save money. There's also there are also many other programs, like the province and, on a province and federal level where, advantages can be taken as a home buyer. You're not even just a first-time home buyer, but, you're just looking to purchase a property. And, these are where your mortgage professionals can actually come into play and, provide you all those incentives that could actually help you save a lot of money. Any questions so far? So I have this infographic up, and it just outlines all the steps for you to expect when buying a home. Most of the time, I did ask a question earlier on how many of you understand the home buying process, and what do you even know what the steps are like? A lot of times people don't even know what steps are involved in the home buying process. And I'm just going to quickly walk us through, the home buying process and, just outline some of the steps to expect when deciding to make this move. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to actually decide you have to decide that you're interested in becoming a homeowner, right? And this is not just a decision you make. This is not just a decision anybody has to make for you. It's a decision you have to make for yourself. You have to be, prepared mentally and financially, because owning a property is something that comes with a lot of responsibilities, and you actually have to be prepared for it. Secondly, you want to have a consultation with, with a real estate professional like myself, who would guide you through the whole process. We would discuss, what your budget is, your ideal locations, current market conditions, and, deposit money and any other, expenses that, you should expect in terms of actually buying and closing on your property. Next thing, you want to get pre-approved. So we did mention this earlier. You want to speak to a mortgage specialist. You want to speak to a lender, submit all the relevant and requested documentations, and, get a pre-approval letter that would actually give you a sense of what you can actually afford and position you better to actually, close on whatever property you see and decide to make an offer on. So after you got your pre-approval letter, you can actually start, looking up houses. There are different ways to look up houses, but it's usually best and more, saves you a whole lot of stress, working with a real estate professional who actually prioritizes your search, to be honest, because I see a lot of people these days, they're the ones actually searching up properties. It's honestly not your job to be the one looking up properties. I mean, if you actually enjoy the whole process of looking up for the 3-bedroom, 3-bath that you're looking for in Kitchener every single day at 7 a.m. in the morning, then you can definitely go ahead and do that. But a lot of people are usually busy and need an extra eye on ground to actually, look up new deals that come up on the market, or even off-market deals that, may fall in here and there at different point in time, right? So this is where your real estate agent actually comes in, sets you up on different kind of searches, and, provide you those listings that actually match your criteria. So at any point, if you see any property that you actually like, your realtor can go ahead and actually book viewings at these properties, explain different market conditions, run, CMAs, comparative market analysis around different properties in the area, see what they sold for, and kind of decide on what kind of offer should be made, on those kind of properties if you decide to make an offer on that property. if you decide to make an offer, your realtor will work with you to actually tailor the offer to your specific needs, right? They're also able to like negotiate on the price based off what research they've done in terms of their, market analysis, and they're able to like draft an offer, put in the right clauses and conditions, and actually submit the offer on your behalf. So when an offer is actually submitted, the three outcomes to an offer usually. The first outcome could be the offer either gets accepted, it can get rejected, or it can get countered. If the offer gets accepted, then you can move on with the whole process of finalizing your financing, specifying, like what your close dates are, like going through all your conditions, like your inspection, making sure like, like your lender can get the money ready, and, like none of your situation has changed. If your offer, on the other hand, actually gets, rejected, you go back to the drawing board, you continue your search, and, like you do the whole process all over again. If your offer actually gets countered, this is where your real estate professional actually comes a whole lot into play, because at this point, you could submit an offer for $500,000, and the seller might come back to you and be like, "Hey, we want 520," right? And this is where you and your realtor would actually sit together and be like, "Okay, do we want to offer them this 520? Are there certain things that we can negotiate into this price to actually be at our advantage, and actually still send back counter offer and everything, right?" So it all boils down to negotiation at the end of the day, and just based off like your real estate professionals' market knowledge on how to navigate that negotiation at that point in time. Like if you stand a better offer, right, actually getting a better deal out of it at the end of the day. If everything goes as planned, you get to the closing day, you receive all your closing disclosures from your lender, all your closing disclosures from your lender, you work with your lawyers and, finalize any legal documents that need to be signed, and every paperwork that needs to be signed. And then you set a moving date, which, you do a final walkthrough before, just making sure that everything is still the same as agreed. And on moving day, you move into your new home, and, like you're a homeowner. And the process can actually be as simple as that, as long as like you get the right level of information, and you work with the right people at every point in time. Did anyone have any question on any step in this process? Sorry, so quiet in here.
There's some questions in the chat.
Oh, okay, I'm just going through that. So Lower Femi said, how much impact does pre-approval credit check have on your credit score? I mean, there's really no set answer to that. Nobody really understands. I personally don't still understand how the credit check. I can't really tell you like, hey, this would give you a -20 on your credit report, or like a -10 or -5, right? But there's definitely going to be a hit on your credit score, because they are definitely going to run a hard check on your credit to actually assess your financial worthiness, your credit worthiness, I mean. So it's always best to, speak to your lender about what to expect when, these checks are being run, and how to navigate, like whatever hit you might get, when these checks are being run on your credit score. As I said, can you shed more light on the interest and principal ratio if individual has 50 down payment with a credit score of 730? Not exactly sure what you're trying to ask there, Osaz. Can you shed more light on the interest and principal ratio if an individual has 50% agreement with it credit? ISS. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, what you mean by if you have a 50 down. Are you asking if you have a 50% down payment for the price of the property?
It says yes.
Oh, yes. Can you shed more light on the interest and principal ratio if an individual has? I wouldn't. I mean, at the end of the day, it all depends on how much the price of the property is going for, right? And it all depends on how much the price of the property is going for. Honestly, your credit score doesn't really play so much into how much your monthly payments are going to be split into how it's going to be shared among the principal and the interest, right? It all boils down to how much interest rate your lender is providing to you. So if your lender is providing you 4% and is providing another person with the same profile of 5%, your monthly interest and principal ratio are definitely going to be different. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to what interest rates you're going to get from your lender, right? But once you run a pre-approval and they're actually able to provide you what interest rates you can actually get based on however down payment you're putting down and what your profile is bringing you up to in terms of mortgage approval. This is definitely a conversation you can have with your lender to actually break down what percentage what your monthly payment is going to be like and what percentage of that payment is actually going to go towards your interest and what part of it is actually going to go towards your principal. I hope that kind of answered your question. Arinza say, what's the minimum amount for the down payment? So minimum down payment required as a first-time home buyer is usually 5%. Up to the first 500,000. So if you're buying a $500,000 home, you're looking to put down $25,000. And it goes up from there it becomes a 10% for any amount above the 500,000 up onto 1.5 million. So if you're buying a $600,000 home, you're putting down a 5% on the first 500,000 and 10% on the remaining amount, which is 100,000. So that will be 25,000 plus, the 10% of 100,000, which is $10,000, and that's $35,000 in total. What is the minimum credit? I asked, what is the minimum credit score, or should I? What is the minimum credit score one should aim to have to be set up for success and getting approval? So like I did mention earlier, there's really no minimum credit score. It all boils down to what lender you get and what their requirements are. There's really no set credit score, but ideally, to get the best interest rates, you want to have a really good credit score. You want to have your credit score sitting in good to excellent, which is like the 700 mark upwards. Based off my experience, I would say that's a good spot to sit in to actually get an approval from an A lender. So an A lender will definitely provide you with a better package and a lower interest rate just based on your credit worthiness. Can a temporary resident buy a house? If answer is yes, how can you go about it? So a temporary resident can actually buy a house. There are more restrictions around it for sure. It's not a no. I believe there's an extra 20%. There's an extra 20%. What's it called? there's an extra 20% tax or so that's attached to it that you actually have to pay. So it kind of like it's possible that there's just a little bit more restrictions around it. It's not like it's not impossible. It's possible, but you definitely be looking to spend way more money than just the regular 5 to 10% down payment. But if you're interested in, learning more Oluwafemi, we can definitely connect later and chat a little bit more about that. Anyone else had any more questions? All right. So some of the key roles in, the home buying process are, your realtors. A lot of times people ask, what's the relevance of working with a real estate agent? Like, why can't I honestly go about this process by myself? And I always tell people, like, some of the reasons why I would always recommend working with a realtor is just because of their expert market knowledge. Realtors have a deep insight into market trends, pricing, and also neighborhood dynamics, right? They can help you navigate competitive markets, determine fair pricing, negotiate you really good offers, and like find you the best opportunities that are tailored to your needs and whatever you're looking for. Realtors also have access to exclusive listings. So a lot of times people tend to base their search off realtor.ca. But I always tell people most of the times the best deals are honestly they're not even available to public eye, but realtors do have a network of other agents, other sellers and investors that actually have deals that come up here and there on the market. And, you can definitely leverage, this network and, find off-market deals that may actually save you a lot of money. Realtors are also very skilled, with negotiating because they do this on a daily basis. They understand, the mindset of sellers. They understand how to handle offers, counter offers, and other complexities, that may come up, with submitting an offer or doing your transaction. And also just streamline process and professional guidance. They make the whole process a little bit easier for you. You have someone you can always hit up at 10 p.m. at night to get more information about something, and like just having that support, right from searching for your house to making an offer to actually moving in, and like just that ongoing support as well. Your lawyers are definitely important as well because they ensure all legal compliance and like work with you to finalize all contracts and agreements. And your mortgage brokers are important in helping you also find financing and finding you a lender that will provide you a loan to actually be able to purchase your home. So a lot of times people tend to talk about, down payments only. And I always try to remind people that, regardless of just the down payments, there are a lot of other costs that are associated with actually buying a house. And these are usually called the closing cost. And this could include things from land transfer taxes to legal fees to home inspection fees and a whole lot of other things that, you would never even imagine could possibly come up. But as a general rule of thumb, we always recommend that you budget at 3 to 5% of the purchase price of your property, just to be on the safe side and avoid any stress, when you start closing and on no surprise cost or expenses that you don't budget for. You want to actually start budgeting for them, like right from day one when you start saving for your down payment. But the good thing about it is, there are some incentives like, the land transfer tax in Ontario as a first-time home buyer, whether it's a new house or rebuild, you're eligible to land transfer tax refund of all parts or, the full amount of that tax up to a maximum of $4,000, right? So if your land transfer taxes were calculated to be $5,000, the first-time home buyer, you can get that rebate of $4,000 and leaves you paying just $1,000, saves you a whole lot of You also want to factor in your legal fees. You want to get a lawyer. Lawyers are definitely important in, closing the deals, especially if you're buying condominiums. You want your lawyers to go through all the legal documentation, highlight anything that may be that may not be in your favor, and actually, work towards it to work with you to actually rectify those things or even back out of the deal if need be. Your home inspection fee is definitely important because you do want to ensure like everything about the property is as they say it is. There are a lot of things that you can actually see with the physical eyes. You can't see a cracked foundation. You can't see molds behind the walls when you walk into a house. A lot of people are deceitful these days. They go, there might be molds behind or leaks and everything, and they just take the paint and clean up the wall and make it look all nice, and you walk in there like, oh, this is a beautiful house, and you do all the paperwork, buy the house, and 3 months down the line, like you're getting expenses for repairs worth thousands of dollars. So you do definitely want a home inspection and get every details about the house as much as possible, and helps you make final more informed decision as well. Also, you want to factor in like ongoing expenses like your property taxes. Property taxes are required to be paid on every property in Ontario, Canada as a whole. This covers a whole lot of things from your garbage removal to any other thing that may be included in property taxes. Maintenance and repair. It's always good to budget 1 to 3% of the property value annually. Things get spoiled, things damaged that we never planned for, but at the end of the day, we want to be in a better position to handle these expenses when they do come up. And also your utilities, so gas, water, electricity, internet cost, whatever it may be. These are ongoing expenses that you actually have to factor in and budget for every single month when you own a property. Just gonna go through the questions and see if anyone had. If you reach out to me after this meeting, the consultation fee. Also, as all are working with a realtor, I don't charge anything for a consultation. I'll share my details at the end of my presentation, and feel free to give me a call anytime to discuss anything about your real estate needs. All my consultations are free and readily accessible to anybody who needs them. iShare asks, what are the common mistakes people make in the home buying process? I would say one of the major mistakes a lot of people make is not having the right information, right? A lot of people get into, not having the right information and not being ready, right? I see a lot of people wanting to buy a property, and honestly, they don't even know like how much responsibilities come with actually owning a property. So, just getting the right information, knowing where your source of information is coming up from, and, like working with a seasoned professional that would actually provide you, that would actually help you guide you through the whole process and make the whole process streamlined is one of the mistakes I see people making. People tend to work with anybody and get their information from the internet these days, right? But I always used to advise against that. There's as much as you can get from the internet, right? At the end of the day, you want to talk to somebody who you can actually trust, who would actually guide you through the whole process and tell you things as they are, lay down all the costs and every other thing for you to expect, and, steer you away from bad deals and, like present you deals that will actually make a whole lot of sense and fit into your vision and goal of home ownership. David asks, are you located in KW area? So David, Waterloo is my primary location. I do focus on the Tri-City, Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge, and Toronto and all the surrounding cities around as well. Hello, Femi. My contact information will be provided at the end of my presentation. Thanks. So just before we round up, I just want to touch briefly on like opportunities and strategies investing in real estate. So a lot of times people are very concerned these days about income generating properties, right? So some of the strategies to go about this are, I see a lot of people buying rental properties and buying property just to put renters in there, long-term tenants, and actually having those tenants pay the mortgage every month and actually build equity and pay down their mortgage. These strategies are very good, especially for single family homes, condominiums, and also multiple family properties. People also buy investment properties these days just for short-term rentals. These are usually very profitable in high demand areas. If you're in a downtown location of a very busy city, Kitchener-Waterloo is an amazing one as well. There are less restrictions around short-term rentals around here still. And we also have a very thriving tech community, university town. So we have an influx of visitors and everything out here. So, buying a property and, like putting it on the market just for rentals and short-term rentals as well could also be a way for you to, still go about doing whatever you're doing, or investing your money in opportunities like this and having tenants actually pay down your mortgage and build equity for you in the long run. Another one I want to touch on is house hacking strategies. So I'm not sure a lot of you might have heard about what a house hacking is, but putting it in layman's terms is simply just buying a multifamily house and where you live in one of the units and you rent out the other units to actually offset some of the costs associated with owning that property. So I could have, a duplex where I have a basement that has a private entrance, a kitchen, and is a full dwelling unit. And my mortgage is $4,000 in a month, and I'm getting rent from the other units up to $2,000 in a month. So at the end of the day, my mortgage is $4,000, but somebody is subsidizing that by paying me $2,000 in a month, and I only have to top up $2,000 to actually pay the rest of my mortgage. So these are some of the strategies you can actually take to while buying properties and discuss with your real estate agent as well to actually leverage on the property and build more equity and, like keep growing your portfolio as well and, just amassing wealth and, putting you in a better position as well. So, I mean, there are a lot of strategies available, I'll be happy to discuss with anyone who's interested that could actually work in your favor when you're actually looking to buy a property. All right. Simple one is, I tell people like, why do you want to buy a townhome and for $900,000 when you can actually buy a duplex that has 2 units and you can put somebody down in 1 unit and actually live up? I mean, even if it's not your ideal scenario at that point in time, but it could help you build some equity. It could help you offset some of the bills associated with living in that house at least for a year or two, and then you can build some good equity and decide to upscale or like move to a bigger place or a better place in 3, 5, 6 years down the line. Some other people still keep those properties at the end of the day. Some people sell it off and move into like bigger and nicer places, right? So there are definitely opportunities around when buying properties and strategies you can actually implement to actually help you be successful and actually make the best out of your home purchase. But yeah, that's all I have to share today. And want to thank you all for attending and open to questions right now. And please feel free to ask any and every question that you have. The whole goal is to let you leave this meeting today with like some sort of knowledge or, like answering some questions or, debunking some myths that you might have about, home ownership and in Canada. And I also work a whole lot with like rentals as well. So if you have any questions around, like renting and actually leasing a property in Canada, like feel free to drop any questions as well. So there's a question from Aisha saying, for those looking to go into the process soon, what location should they be considering? I would say there are actually a lot of new opportunities that are springing up every day. There are a lot of new cities and developments that are coming up every single day. It's always best to speak to your real estate agent Cambridge is not the way it used to be anymore. It's they're having a lot of like new developments down there. If you're looking to move towards, the GTA, there are nice cities that are in close proximity to downtown, like, Ajax, Whitby, Pickering. At the end of the day, like you might not get the property in the exact location that you want to, or you can actually get some really nice, you can get some really nice opportunities around, or within surrounding cities or neighborhoods around. And, it's always best to talk to your real estate agent, because a lot of builders actually have a network of real estate agents where they do provide them information about new developments coming on. So they can provide to, their clients and anybody they know who may be looking for new properties, right, to buy. So always keeping that connection with your real estate agent, asking them questions like, oh, where are there any new opportunities? I want to move to Toronto, but this is my budget. Like, what kind of cities you think I can get something that matches my criteria but still fits into my budget? These are questions a real estate professional will be more than happy to answer for you and provide you all the details and information that you may need.
Thank you so much.
No worries at all.
Okay, there's another
We have
question.
one last question here. It's from Joseph. It says, I have a poor credit score, but my wife has a very good credit score and we want to purchase a home. Is it possible to get a good deal, or I have to wait until my credit is very good? Joseph, like I mentioned earlier, there's really the interesting thing about credit scores is when it comes to lenders, there are no lenders that say, oh, your credit score has to be 700 or your credit score has to be 800 for you to qualify for a mortgage, right? So I would say the first thing to do is reach out to a mortgage broker, let them do an assessment of your credit score and your current situation. They'll probably look at some of your financials and try to get a full sense of like what your credit score currently is. And if it's something that a lender is happy working with, they would be happy to connect you with some of those lenders. If it's something that requires some work to be done, they will definitely be able to provide you some strategies and some steps for you to take to actually improve on your credit score so you can meet those requirements from the lender. And if you're interested in speaking with a lender as well, I do have mortgage brokers on my team that I'll be happy to connect you with. If you just throw me a message or an email or give me a call. No problem.
There's so much to unpack here for me. I'm sure it's always the same for everyone here too.
Yeah, it is. I did, you never really stop learning, that's how it is. But at the end of the day, like just living with something that answers the question that you may have had, or, like just knowing like where to get the right resources and information when you need those information is very important, right? So, and that's why my phone number and email is on here. If any of you ever get to the point where you feel like, I'm ready to take that step, I'm ready to take that next step, or I'm ready to start that journey, or, or even just have any random questions like, hey, what city do you think is booming right now? Or, like, hey, what do you think, what do you think my chances are? Or do you think I can get this? Like, I'm always more than happy to like speak to whoever, reaches out to me. So, grab my number and, give me a call anytime. And also, if it's not my line of, I work with a whole range of professionals, from mortgage brokers to lawyers to property inspectors to developers and everything. So even if I don't have the answers, I'll be more than happy to connect you to the right person to answer your questions. So a question here from Ivy: is it true that having a car financing plan reduces your chances of being pre-approved for a mortgage? What are the practical tips you should advise us to have with regards to being pre-approved? So Ivy, it actually does, because when a lender is assessing your financial worthiness, they look at your debt to income ratio. So most of the time you having a car, you know, I'll just break it down very, very simply. Let's assume like you have a $2,000 income every month, and out of that $2,000, 500 goes towards your car, and 1,000 goes towards your rent, and $300 goes towards miscellaneous, right? So that's 1,800 out of your $2,000 every month. So put yourself in a situation of a lender where they're looking at your application from the point where, okay, she makes $2,000 and already spends $1,800, leaving her with $200, and you know, she's asking us for a mortgage where she has to pay an extra $2,000 every month. Where is she going to get the $2,000 from, right? So most of the time, it's usually advisable for you to pay down all these, any debts that you may have, be it credit card, be it your car notes, be it student loans, or any debt you may have. You know, like the first advice your mortgage broker or the lender will give you is pay down all these debts first of all. It gives you a better chance of approval.
Okay, so I think that's all the questions that we have. We're about 4 minutes away from 30. Thank you so much, Kay. Thank you. Like I said, it's a lot to unpack. Hope everyone has been able to take something away from here today, and then we can reach out to Kay. Any questions, any inquiries, I put his information in the chat box. So please reach out to him for all your real estate concerns. And if you're not able to reach him, you can reach out to us too. Reach out to Nairo. I'll put our information in the chat box as well. Thank you so much again for taking out so much time on a Sunday, snowy Sunday evening to join us. We hope you'll be able to join for further sessions. We're going to have a whole lot of programs and sessions, workshops in 2025. We're planning that out already. So please make sure you're able to join us and just have all this information. It's never too much. It's never enough. So let's see how it goes from here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate you.